My name is Jesper, and I'm joined by David, also known as Cycling Mole on Twitter. How are you doing, David?
I'm good, Jesper.
That's good. Today we'll be previewing the Omloop Nieuwsblad, which starts off the season, or the classic seasons, this Saturday. And before we do that, I think that we should give a chance to David to plug his social media outlets and his website before you guys might end up leaving, which we hope you don't.
Okay, guys, so you might have read some of my interviews and previews before on ciclismointernational.com. We are a dual language website. We're both English and Spanish, myself and Pablo Palermo. Lots of interviews, lots of previews, well worth a visit if you've got a couple of minutes to spare.
Okay, it's good. I've been watching your previews, your short articles before, because you retweet them in your own account, so
yeah,
it's quality read, guys, and sometimes you actually hit the jackpot with the right guesses. But on to the race at mine.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, we got the Omloop Nieuwsblad. It's coming up this Saturday. And Wise Guy once said, to know the future, you must know the past. And therefore, we should take a look at the Omloop Nieuwsblad 2014 edition. And why don't you run us through that race?
Okay, so like most Omloop races, the key move went under the 50k to go banner. It was Terpstra, Bosenhagen and Boom. They broke away from the rest of the peloton at 42 kilometres to go. They held a good advantage, they were working well together. Unfortunately, Boom punctured with 22k to go. The two guys at front didn't really know what to do, they didn't want to commit. They eased off the gas a little bit. With 15 kilometres to go, they were captured and the decisive move went. Ian Stannard of Sky was the first to go. Greg Van Avermaet recognised it was the right move. He joined them. Quickly, a few others tried to get across. Van Mark, Terpstra, Bosenhagen again. They couldn't catch them. We had a great situation where the two guys in front held about a 10-second advantage over these three, with the peloton another 30 seconds behind. They just couldn't get close enough. It got down to 7 seconds. Bosenhagen just sat on, anchored it. His teammate Stannard was up the road. That kind of killed their chances. We ended up with a two-man sprint between Stannard and Van Avermaet. Amazingly, Stannard took it. Everybody thought Van Avermaet would. For some reason, he decided to lead out. He went in front with a kilometre to go. Just one of those crazy decisions Van Avermaet sometimes does. And Stannard really surprised him. Powerful sprint, great victory for Stannard.
Definitely. Supposedly, Greg Van Avermaet was sick that day, and that's why he didn't win the sprint. But
yeah, Stannard was just stronger.
Wow.
It's a funny sprint. It's an uphill sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just the strongest man on the day wins. It's not the fastest sprinter.
That's also what Cosmo Catalano said. I caught up. Instead of watching the 2 hours that they broadcast the race, I watched Cosmo Catalano's how the race was won. So if you guys want to catch up to that, use his services because they're pretty good. Because in 4 minutes, I got 2 hours of footage down, so it saves times, guys. Did you use it, or did you just watch the race over again?
No, I watched the race all over again.
Poor you. Is that really worth it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was?
You see lots more in the full race. You see who's working for who. You notice the guys, when they like to go.
Mm-hmm.
Got to watch the full race.
I remember Johan Alfredo crashing. That was a big moment for him because I see he's at 150 for this year. And
yeah, I mean, Alfredo joined the break with Demar, which was an impressive bit of riding from Demar to make it into the break. The other guys obviously not too happy. Demar would beat them in any sprint. And then on the right turn, Alfredo's wheel just went out and down he went. Alfredo, since he came back from his ban for missing his drug tests, he's just not been the rider he was. You can maybe guess why that is.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be touching Alfredo. I think there's better options for FDJ.
We'll touch on that later. So most people actually compare the Omloop Nieuwsblad to the Tour of Flanders. They call it a mini Tour of Flanders, and the reason that is because they use a lot of the parkour from the Tour of Flanders in Omloop. Like on video right now, on screen, you'll see a comparison between the two stages, or the two races, and you'll see that they're using... Oh, by the way, sorry for my pronunciation, because neither of us are Flemish, so can't pronounce you guys' names because they're weird, but the Timberg is there and the Kruisberg are there, two very important parts of the race. They're going to make a big difference in both the Tour of Flanders and the Omloop Nieuwsblad. But what do you think the decisive move is going to be made in Omloop?
Well, we've got 11 climbs, we've got 10 sections of pavé. The crucial part of the race is from 120 kilometres to about 170 kilometres. You get 6-7 climbs, short, steep climbs, some of them cobbled. We have a number of cobbled sections as well. That's when the break usually it gets caught. That's when the decisive move goes from the peloton. The Tyenberg, that's the crucial point. It's a 7th climb, 141k gone, 60k to go. Usually some of the big guys like to go hard on that climb. It brings the peloton down to a small bunch, and then we get the decisive move. Now, the funny thing is, despite all the climbs, despite all the cobbled sections, quite often the move goes on the flat open road. So like last year, Stannard made the attack, flat road, and off he went. In these classic races, we often look at the climbs and the pavé, but the real move goes when everybody else is tired, and then the guys who are really strong, they hit the front. So we'd be looking for inside the final 50k, that's when we'll get a small peloton, and then we'll get a decisive move probably within the last 20 kilometres.
Yeah, I know you said that the big guys normally attack on the Tyenberg, and I read that, I've also seen that, Tom Bowden likes to attack on Tyenberg every single time. He'll always be the guy at the front attacking on that climb. This year was actually Van Marke doing the attacking. Yeah,
Van Mark was very strong. Crazily, Boom was in the break and Van Mark was still attacking. I'm not sure what that was about. Again, Van Mark's another one who sometimes leaves his brain on the team bus, not the best tactically. He's a guy who will want to attack this year. Boonen, as you say, Boonen always goes on the Tyenberg, always.
Speaking of boom as well, boom in a breakaway is not a good thing because he's doing something that we call booming here at the Cycling Hub, and that is asking for help when he doesn't even need it. He just asks for help because he did that last year as well, didn't he?
He did. He's a big bully. He likes to call the shots. With some of the maybe lesser known guys who are maybe scared of him. He doesn't try that with the more established guys.
I'm not sure where he gets the authority from though, because what makes Boom such a big character in the peloton?
I think just experience. These guys look up to a guy like Boom. He's obviously well respected, but he does like to shout the odds at people, bit of finger wagging, and often gets his way. In the same way Cancellara does. You know, Cancellara likes to give people the stare. He's won races from Van Mark because he's forced them into riding when Van Mark shouldn't be. It's that respect thing.
Well, I think Cancellara's earned it more than Boom has earned it, but that's another case, I think.
You're probably right.
One thing that defines the race Omloop is the weather. Last year it was horrible conditions. That's also part of the reason that Ian Stannard won it. This year it won't be horrible conditions. There's a small chance of rain, but it probably won't rain. And it's only 9 degrees warm, so it's normal. What do you think about the conditions?
Conditions look good. Earlier on in the week they were forecasting rain, but only a little bit. Now they're saying it's going to be cloudy sunshine. Wind could be a factor. We're looking at about 16 miles per hour winds coming from the south. We've got small sections where we could get some crosswinds, but mainly it's a headwind for the start and it's a tailwind for the finish, which is good for any breakaways at the end. It's going to be harder for them to be caught as they ride back into Ghent. But it looks like good conditions, which will favour most of the guys. Most of them don't like the horrible rain at this time of year. They're coming back from Dubai and Oman and Qatar. They don't like the drop in temperature. Quite a lot of them pick up colds. So no rain is good for most of the peloton, but not Stannard.
I see that. It's not good for the race either, because cobblestones with the rain is so fun to watch, as we saw in the Tour de France last year. It really made the race what it was. And well, there are pictures on Twitter right now. I know that Vanti Gobert and Rick Sabel tweeted out pictures of rain right now down in Ghent. So, I mean, the weather forecast could change as we move closer to Saturday. And I know that according to Google's weather forecast, Sunday is supposed to be a 90% chance of rain. So, could still rain.
I think crucially we're meant to have dry conditions on the Friday as well. So the cobbles should be dry, which will hopefully mean less crashes. And we can get a good, fair race.
Yep, let's hope for that. Well, now we've spoken about the race and the conditions. Let's talk about the riders that are actually going to be riding this race. At the first 9 or 8 bib number, is Team Sky. Why don't you run us through this team? Okay,
so Stannard, defending champion, very strong rider. Some good early form from Qatar. Threatened the overall lead there. I think he eventually finished 4th. They've also got some good solid riders there. Bernie Eisel was going really well over in Qatar. Fenn, who joined them from Quick Step. Knies, Puccio, good solid riders. Wiggins, there's the big draw, it's the big name. What's his condition going to be like? We all know he's going for Paris-Roubaix, which is over 40 days away. I doubt very much he's going to be in the condition to win this race. I think he'll be there as a worker. Luke Rowe, he's the dark horse. 7th in Qatar. Not many people. No, I think he finished outside the top 10 in Qatar. I think he was 7th in the Cadel Evans race.
Yep.
Many people know Rowe. Welsh, good sprinter, good team rider. Everybody at Sky will be very happy to see him go a long way in the race. He will be there or thereabouts towards the end. He was last year when Stannard made the attack. Rowe got to sit up, and then he just sailed in with the peloton. So Rowe, definitely somebody to watch out for. Stannard won't be able to make the attack he did last year.
I was going to ask you that question. I was going to ask you what you think the chances are of Ian Stannard making a double. Because
0.
I was going to agree with you. I was actually going to make the bet you made the other day with Greipel in the Almira race, where you said, or no, it wasn't Almira. Which race was it? Where you said you were going to eat your hat?
Yeah, I was going to eat my hat if Greipel didn't win the final stage of Algarve.
I was going to make that bet with you if Ian Stannard was going to win if you were for him. I didn't know if you were for or against him.
No, very few people do the double here, and he's going to be a marked man.
I agree with you. Moving on to some other teams that are going to have an impact. Down below on the Pro Cycling Stats start list, we have Etixx Quickstep with 5 to 6 favourites to winning this stage. What do you think about their chances?
The Harlem Globetrotters of cycling. These guys are just absolutely amazing. The most amount of wins this season. They are the best team. They are the team to beat. They've got at least 6 guys who could win this race. Boonen, Stibar, Terpstra, Trentin, Van Kiersbroek, Van den Berg. Every single one of them could be a team leader in their own team. With so many options, they have to have a rider in the top 3. Anything else is failure. They messed up last year. Terpstra did finish, I think it was maybe 5th, but he was their only man left at the end. They got a big bum kicking for that from their team. Then the next day they went out and destroyed KBK. So expect Etixx to be really, really big in the race. Van den Berg, local boy, under 23 champion in 2004, always good. Second to Paulini a couple of years back, very strong rider. Terpstra's obviously just off fresh from a win in Qatar. Boonen once did well there. Stibar was good in Algarve. These guys have got form.
What do you think about their tactics? Because normally you see a team just right at the front. Instead, they go on their attack. Because I know that 4 separate guys went on the attack 4 separate times last year. Do you think they'll replicate that tactic this year?
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about Boonen probably wanting to attack on the climbs, but Boonen's the guy they really want to keep for a sprint in case we get a kind of 10-man sprint. Boonen would win that. Guys like Terpstra, Van den Berg, they'll go on the attack. They'll try and draw out other riders, and Boonen can just sit in the armchair all day. And if he gets a sprint, he gets a sprint. Crucially, Boonen's never won here. One of the very few places you can say.
Do you think he'll break that curse and finally win this year?
No.
Okay, I agree with you once again. Moving on to the next team, Frances Deschaux. They had some bad luck last year with a few punctures and crashes in the final. Do you think they have a chance this year?
Top rider would be Demar, but he has had a horrible start to the season. He's looking way out of form. Things are not going well for him. Maybe not being a sprint race might be good for him. Less pressure, he might do better. Le Bon, big fan of Johan Le Bon. Good breakaway rider. Was in a lot of attacks last year. Was in the final selection here last year before Stannard made the move. He's a guy to watch. He was in a break at Hotvar recently. He's a good guy. Ladagnu, good recent result. I think he was 2nd. Another guy who's very experienced. He's done the rounds here. Will they win? No.
I agree. Well, we were on Demar to win the Tour of Qatar he was in. It was at like 43 to 1. He hugely disappointed us as well. Not even getting a stage win, I think, was a disappointment from him.
He had a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all his fault. They've taken away his sprint train. He's got a new sprint train. He's trying to learn how to ride with some of these guys. It's going to take time for him. He's a really talented rider. He's definitely going to win classics in the future. He just doesn't have the form this season to do it here.
I agree. Moving on to IAM Cycling. They have a really mixed nationality team. Are they bringing anyone that could do something in this race?
Well, Chavanel's going well. 3rd place in Ruta del Sol, top 10 in the GC, so he's a good rider. Not always terribly strong this time of the season. Hausler was only drafted in at the last minute. He was a reserve for this race, so he's had a break since his early season form. Don't expect him to be at the level he was earlier. The guy who could surprise a few is Dries Devenijns. Belgian rider, always goes well here. Belgians love this race, obviously their home race. They win it a lot. Devenijns has been focused on this race all season long so far. One worry, he did really well in the Green Mountain stage, and he said afterwards that his legs probably wouldn't have recovered in time for this race. Now, sometimes cyclists like to tell little white lies, So we can maybe believe him or maybe not, but all we know is he was focused on this race for a while, and he'll go in as a protected rider. He's a man to watch.
You said that Belgians love this race, and I read that Etixx Quickstep didn't even recon the race or the stage because they're so used to this terrain or this environment that, well, they know the road, so they won't even go and recon it. What do you think about this?
Guys like Van den Berg and Boonen have ridden this road hundreds of times. They know this like the back of their hand. They sent the guys who weren't too sure. I think they sent Stibar and Trentin. So guys who didn't know it, it's a safe call. No point sending them out in the cold. They might have picked up illness. So very clever from Etixx, as usual.
Of course. Patrick Lefebvre really knows what he's doing. He's a good sports director in that team.
They're the best team by far.
Next up, we've got Jürgen Rollins as the captain of Lotto-Soudal this year. He's gotten his permission to actually go for the classic season this time, and he's been taken out of the lead-out train off André Greipel. What do you fancy his chances are?
He'll go well. Yogi, as they like to call him, good rider. Was touted as a classics winner a few years back. He's never quite managed to do that. He's been roped into being a very effective lead-out man for Greipel. Really interesting to see this year that with the new team he said he wanted to go for the classics, take me out of the sprint train for the start of the year. He will go back and be part of the sprint train later on in the year, but I think he told him he wanted up to April, and then that's it, he'll ride for Greipel. So the pressure's on him to succeed. He's demanded this from the team. He better deliver, otherwise they won't be happy. Roland's definite top 10 rider here. He'll finish in the top 10. Whether or not he can go further will depend on some luck. He doesn't have the teammates to back him up. So if he can get in the right break at the right time, he'll do well. Fast finisher, good sprinter. I would say definite top 10 rider here.
Well, you said he doesn't have the teammates. He has Pim Lichthart, and he's won 2 stages so far in this season. He's been going really good.
Lichthart is going good, but he'll struggle in this type of race. He won't make the crucial selection at the end of the race.
I think that's a bold statement because I think he actually has a chance of winning this.
Oh, no.
That's a bold prediction, but he's got the nose and he's got the form, and sometimes it all depends on the form and the strength at this point of the season.
Not on this course. Lichthart, no chance.
We'll see about that. What team is next up that has any sort of impact on this race? I guess we can talk about some of the breakaway contenders in this race, because these sort of races always have a 20-man big breakaway. In that breakaway, you'll probably see Tosbo Flandern and Vanti Group Gobert. Those two Belgian teams, who do they have that could change the outcome of this stage, or this race?
Well, Top Sport have Yellow Valleys, good rider, good form. He's already been in a couple of breakaways this season. Edward Toons, real quality rider. Kid's got top 10s just everywhere he goes just now. Both of them have a good chance. Wanty have said they've got a couple of protected riders. Leukemans is going to be protected, as is Mercato and Salvaggi. Salvaggi from the stage in Vuelta Andalusia, he's going well. Mercato is probably their best hope, I would say. Very experienced Italian rider. I would expect he'll go quite well in this race. But for any of the riders from those teams to win it, it's going to be very hard for them. Looking at the other boys on the list, I think the big contender would have to be Sepp van Mark, former winner of the race. Very strong last year. He's a massive threat. He was getting form in Algarve recently. In the Queen stage, he went on a little counter-attack with Tony Martin just to test out his legs. He's going to attack. If he's in form, the other riders will struggle to hold his wheel. He is that strong. The one worry I have about Van Mark, I have it on good authority, he's a little fragile as a human being. He needs a lot of love. If things aren't quite going his way, he won't be at the races. But I would expect Van Mark to be one of the contenders for the title.
He's been very unlucky in the past with crashes and punctures.
He has, but also Cancellara's in his head. He just struggles to beat Cancellara. He should beat him in a sprint and he can't. Now luckily Cancellara's not here, so he doesn't have to worry about him, but there's plenty of other guys to worry about. He could be left to a situation where he's got 4 Etixx riders against him and he'll have no chance.
What do you think of that decision by Cancellara not going to the Omloop?
I think that's fair enough. I don't think it's a race that he really targets. It's quite early on in the season. His big races are going to lie in April or March.
Someone to look out for is also Mountain Quebecer, because they're bringing quite the squad. They're bringing both EBH, Tyler Farrar, and then they also have Van Rensburg, who's been doing pretty good down in Oman. What do you think about their lineup?
Well, Bosenhagen went really well last year. He couldn't win it with Team Sky. Is he really going to win it with MTN? I can't see it. They've got a good team, nothing more than that. Bosenhagen's form's been on the slide for a while now. MTN have taken a risk. Can they turn his form around? It's going to be very difficult in this race. He is good on this course, so if he's looking to try and get a good early result, this would be the one to take, because some of the other guys aren't quite in top form yet, so it would be slightly easier. Teammates to help him. Yeah, he's got some solid guys there, but you know, inside the 30 kilometres, I would be really surprised to see any of them there. BMC, they're the other big guys here. They want to win this race. Van Avermaet threw it away last season. He's been in brilliant form so far this season. One of the riders of the season so far. He arrives with Gilbert, former winner, 2 times winner, and Jean-Pierre Drucker, very good signing to the team. They're a very strong team. I can see towards the end of the race it has to be BMC, Etixx. They'll have numbers, so they should really be succeeding in this race. Van Avermaet, for me, favourite for the overall race.
My issue with Greg Van Avermaet is that it seems he doesn't have the killer instinct, like the winning instinct. Because he really messes up a lot in the finishing part of the most races. Like we saw with Ian Stannard last year, he messed that up. And it's not the first and last time he's done that.
No, he did it a few times last season. I'm not so sure it's a killer instinct. Just tactically, he's just not that good. You know, you get riders who have all the power, but if their tactics aren't good, they're going to really suffer. He's one like that. He needs somebody to tell him what to do. When there's no race radios in his ear, he's going to struggle. This year he's got form, serious good legs. He has to be the favourite for the race.
I agree. He's a favourite to getting top 3, but he's not my favourite to win. But
yeah. Looking down other riders, Cult Energy, Russell Downing, experienced English rider, went very well recently in Italy, in Etrucci. I think he finished 4th. He's a strong rider. It would be a big push for him to do kind of top 5 here, but he really should be looking towards the top 10. And then we've got my favourite, Mauro Finetto, who's going to be riding for South East. Don't believe what Pro Cycling Stats have there. I spoke to him just the other day. He's riding. He could have been going to GP Lugano, where he's defending champion. He's decided not to go there, which is quite a big decision for him, because the parcours at Lugano are perfect for him. He's coming to Belgium. He wants to do well. He loves riding in Belgium. It's one of his favourite countries to be in. He is a guy who people won't look at. They won't really know about him. And he is very good at getting in the right breaks. He loves cobbles, he loves short, steep climbs, he's got a fast sprint, he's got everything that you need to succeed in this race. The only thing he's going to be lacking is teammates. He needs to be lucky, he needs to get in the right move. But Finetto has the ability to do well here.
What's the story between you and Finetto?
Oh, I've interviewed him many times. He's a great guy, really good guy. I think he's a really talented rider as well, underrated, so consistent.
We'll see more of him. I haven't really seen much of him. That's probably because I don't pay attention to the lower level races that much. Only in recent years.
You'll see him in this race.
We'll see about that. Any other riders you'd like to touch up upon before we move on?
I suppose Cofidis always like to try and get a few riders in the break. Seneschal, good rider. He's a star for the future, definitely. In this race, I can't really see him doing it. We've not talked about Giant Alpecin. Very big team. Not got the squad for this race.
Yeah, Degenkolb is missing. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, again, Degenkolb probably doesn't feel he's going to win this race. He's just done a lot of racing already this season, so they're probably keeping him back for some other races. Zico Waitens would probably be their team leader, I would think. They said that they don't have an out-and-out leader. Waitens is probably going to be their guy. He's a good rider. He was thereabouts last season. He's a guy who could go top 10. And then I suppose the guy with all the form, who some people are tipping up for this race, is Alexander Kristoff. He's going to be one of the favourites. His team are not especially strong. He could have one eye on the race on Sunday, Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne, which is more suited to his style. He can climb, he can ride cobbles. He's a guy who's talked about winning Paris-Roubaix, so he has a chance here. For me, I just don't see him winning it. I think he's too fast. The guys will look at him. Nobody will want to bring him to the line. He'll suffer from having few teammates in the finale, and eventually his chance will go.
The problem with Kristoff is that I never really see him go in the attack. Like, I don't think it's going to be a sprint finish. It'll be like a 3-man finish. And he won't be in that group, because the only time I've ever seen him go in the attack is the Tour of Norway, where he beat Husov. And other than that, I can't recollect anything.
Usually he doesn't have to attack. you know, he'll just wait for the sprint finish and he'll destroy the guys. Even in a smaller sprint, he can just play his cards and just wait and then go for it. The only sprinters who really start to attack these days are Demar and Degenkolb. Both of them realised last season that they have to go on the attack a little bit more to get into those small groups at the end of the race. Very few sprinters will do that. They don't usually have the power to actually do the constant attacks that's required. They'll sit, they'll let their teammates work, and if the chance comes at the end of the race, they'll deliver. Well, but I don't see it happening in this race for Christoph.
I agree with you once again. Seems like we're agreeing on a lot of parts here. It's good.
Yeah, well, let's see if we agree on the prediction.
Let's see. Let's move on to that as well, because the reason most people are following you on Twitter is because of your brilliant mind regarding betting. I also know that you have something called Team Mole, where you can pay, is it 30 quid?
£30 a month to join Team Mole to get all my expert tips.
Hit him up on Twitter, guys, if you want to get in on that. But so far, I've only seen Paddy Power release odds on the Omelette. I'm not sure if you have, but
yeah, seen them. The main bookmakers will release odds very soon, I would think. For me, Van Avermaet's the easy favourite, but I don't see him winning. I can't see past the strongest team. The strongest team are Etixx. They have the most cards to play. They're the guys who are going to be in and around the win at the end of the day. You've got a few guys to pick from. The guy I'm going for, maybe a surprise for some, is Stibar. Good early form. He can ride cobbles, he can do short climbs, and he's got a fast sprint. Having a fast sprint is crucial for if we get a kind of 3-4 man group at the end of the race. And of course, coming from the strongest team, he has a really good chance of being there at the end. Some might think his bigger targets will be down the line, maybe Roubaix, but I think Stibar's showing really good form. He was second in Spain recently. Sorry, he was third because he nearly crashed into a car. Don't know what that car was doing there.
I saw that video.
He rode very hard in Algarve for Tony Martin and Kwiatkowski, so he's got the form. Whether he gets the opportunity, we'll just have to wait and see. This race is a lot about luck. It's a lot about being in the right place at the right time. But Stibar's my pick.
At 9-1, it's also a really good pick, I think. There's a lot of value to be caught on that.
I think when the other bookmakers open up, he might be bigger odds than that as well.
I agree. I'm looking down that list, and I see Anat Demar at 40-1. I know we said he had a bad season, but is it time for him to turn around?
Stay away. He's not going to win this race. He's not going to finish top 3. Demar's had a terrible start to the year. He's not going to turn it around for this race.
Well, let's look further down then, because most guys like to bet big. They don't like to bet on Greg Van Avermaet at 5-1. I know you don't either, because it's not a good value bet. Who else do you see?
Well, I've mentioned a few guys who are going to be big odds. We've got Le Bon. I think he's down at 3 figures. Finetto, again, he's down at 3 figures. So we've got some good riders who could potentially do it, but with these guys, you're really looking for luck because they've got to be in the right move and it's got to work for them. So, you know, the odds are probably valid for them, but they certainly could win the race. Being so early in the season, sometimes we do get a shock win. Some of the big guys just aren't in form yet, but Etixx are going to control this race. You know, it's going to be very difficult for a rider who's not Etixx or BMC or Team Sky to go on and win this race.
I agree with you. But so, your final pick is on Nick Stibar, mine is on Pim Lichtad. I know you don't agree, but at 33-1, he's got to come home.
Make a prediction, Lichtad will not be in the top 40 riders.
Top 40, right. Where was he last year? Let me just take a look at that. Don't think it was top 40 either, but
Lichtad will not be in the top 40.
Off the Omloop Nieuwsblad. Let's take a look real quick. He was 39th last year.
Well, there you go. There's a good value bet for you. He's not. Lichtad will not be top 40.
We'll see about that. Well, here on the ending rope, is there anyone you'd like to say thanks to or give a quick shout out to, like your website once again?
Well, it's cyclismointernational.com. We've got the English site and the Spanish site. Myself, Cycling Mole on Twitter, and if you want to get involved in Team Mole, it's at Cycling Mole Tips.
Hit them up, guys. Thank you very much for being on here, David. It's been fun to talking to you. You have a lot of experience just from talking down the list. I was quite surprised about your cycling knowledge. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
I hope you'll do this once again. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, and we'll see you guys later.